What's up, guys? How are you? It's time for a Wednesday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt, and we are back after a bounce back Tuesday. We went 2-1. Vegas gets there in regulation. The South Alabama-Arkansas State game, fifth straight year in easy walk to the window under. Mark that down for next year. Bet it again. The book's numbers have been way wrong for that matchup between South Alabama and Arkansas State. But the Brewers do not get there, unfortunately, for us. They lose down 2-0. They got worked by the Dodgers. It was a 2-1 day, up one unit. I don't mean to put one person in particular on blast, but I want to show you guys an example of something. So as the Brewers were losing, and the under was coming in, the entire night was hinging on Vegas, right? So Vegas is down 2-1 in the second period. And I'm thinking, all right, probably a 1-2 night, but we might get there. It's possible. So right before the second period gets over, I get on Twitter X. And what do I get? I get this from some depressed Titans fan whose life is misery, clearly, because he's a Titans fan. But I will never tail another Sports Talk Matt bet again. Straight up. When I tell you that 85% of the time when I get stuff like that, it changes the mojo. I love this. On my other show, The Bostonian versus the Book, we have a running joke where, Matt, your picks suck. And I've told people I want a billboard on the Las Vegas Strip that says, Matt, your picks suck. I won't lose a bet ever again if that happens. It's unbelievable. I don't know why. It's mostly because the general rule of thumb is that if somebody's really adamant that your pick is bad, most likely your pick is good, just given the way that gambling works. But thank you to that depressed Titans fan because you flipped it. Third period, Vegas goes and scores 2 goals. They win the game 3-2 in regulation. Winning day. Great. Let's talk trash more. Let's continue to rip on what we're doing. It's a Wednesday, and that means it's a tough day. These are going to be the difficult days because really all there is hockey and baseball to bet on. I can't touch the football games are so depressing. I can't go near them. I mean, Sam Houston State in UTEP is just disgusting. Both the teams are garbage. Not going near that line. And frankly, I'm not betting a team with what Delaware versus Jacksonville State or Jackson State. I don't know. We're not touching college football tonight. Okay, it's just not worth it. Wait till Thursday, Friday, get into those games, and then we'll get back into some things involving baseball tonight, tomorrow, as we roll towards the World Series, which most likely is going to be the Mariners up against the Dodgers, which could be really interesting. West Coast World Series and, well, the first ever World Series for the Mariners. So that will have America's attention, I think, to knock off the Dodgers and stop them from going back-to-back. But if the Dodgers play and pitch like they're pitching currently, nobody on the planet is beating them. Nobody is beating the Dodgers if they currently... I mean, they're beating people without Shohei doing anything. Ohtani has been a ghost in the postseason. If he wakes up in the World Series, forget it. It's over. Dodgers will win the World Series. I am very close, and I probably will do it tomorrow before Game 3. I will jump in on... I will take a piece of the Dodgers to win the World Series, to win a unit, because I'm that confident that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. It's pretty hard to see them not win the World Series. It just matters of price. You know, I was hoping they'd lose a game, and then we could come back in and bet against them. But our Brewers bet is going to go down, unfortunately, because I loved that play. That was a lot of fun. Great CLV, but the bet has to cash for CLV to matter. This podcast is being brought to you by our friends at Hard Rock Bet. If you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, it's still there. There's still time for you to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Just place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you not only get your winnings, but $150 in bonus bets. If you love betting, which if you're listening to this podcast, you most likely do, Then I'm guessing you also love promos, and the promos are nonstop at Hard Rock Bet on Wednesday. Great to sign up for Hard Rock Bet. Why? Legendary reward drops. They happen every Thursday, so you'll get one right away. You could even get an extra bonus bet, parlay insurance. You never know what you're going to get. Check out the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app and make your first deposit today. All right, so let's talk hockey. Let's begin with the Florida Panthers and their game here coming up. There's only 4 games on the schedule for us here tonight. But let's start with Florida against Detroit. So Detroit is 2-1. They're 1-1 at home. They've played one road game. They've played 2 games at home and 1 game on the road. Florida is 3-1. They're coming off their first loss of the year on the road. In their last game, they lost to the Flyers 5-2. They didn't look very good doing it. Okay? This is the Panthers team that's most likely going to be starting Bobrovsky in net. If by chance they don't, this bet needs to be recorrected and we need to get out of it in some form or fashion, cash out or whatnot. But it could be either Gibson or Talbot in net. Right now it's scheduled to be Talbot, but it might be Gibson. Gibson was not good in his first game this season, 0-1 with a goals against average of 8. Talbot was okay, 2-1-1, but you look at the way that this Florida Panthers team is built, and even with the injuries, they still have an extremely talented roster. It is still Brad Marchand. This team still has a ton of talent that should be able to go into Detroit and beat this young upstart team, in particular, bounce back time after the loss to the Flyers in their last game. At home, Montreal beat the Red Wings 5-1. They then beat Toronto 6-3, went on the road and lost to Toronto, and beat Toronto 3-2 in their last game. Now they're back home here up against the defending champs. I like the Panthers. They're pretty big favorites, but you can turn around and get them at a really good price if you want to bet it in regulation, which is what we did last night. I really don't mind this at all to come in and take the Panthers in regulation. You get plus money on this at plus 110. I think the Panthers are just a more experienced team. They're the better team here. Get them off of a loss. Get Bobrovsky back in net. And again, it could be, we'll see who's in net, but if it's going to be Gibson, I love this play. And we got good plus money because this will not be the number. If it is announced that it's Gibson, we're going to get a really good price on this. We're going to have a nice little CLV closing line value on this. You can bet them just to win the game if you want, any which way, at minus 140. Just a little expensive for a hockey game early in the year, to be quite honest. I'm not really looking to lay 140. If we miss on the plus 110, so what? It's a 1-unit bet. We're not laying heavy juice. So I'll take the Florida Panthers in regulation at plus 110. Second bet in hockey for tonight. Let's talk a little bit about the Blackhawks and the St. Louis Blues. One of the best rivalries in hockey. These teams do not like each other. St. Louis is a heavy favorite. Minus 225, minus 230 at most books. We have a 1-2-1 Blackhawks team against a 2-1 St. Louis Blues team. Here, we've got the Blackhawks starting Spencer Knight, who has been pretty good. I like Spencer Knight. I like Spencer Knight a lot. Jordan Binnington has been pretty good as well. Jordan Binnington is a goaltender that I think we can look at, and I think we can talk about him in the future as a guy that could have a good year. Now, the Blackhawks lost their first 3 games. They lost 3-2 to Florida on the road, 4-3 to the Bruins in overtime, and 3-2 to Montreal. Then they beat Utah at home in their last game, 3-1. On the other side, the Blues have won 2 of 3. They lost their home opener 5-0 to Minnesota. Then they beat Calgary on the road 4-2, and Vancouver on the road 5-2. The Blackhawks are feisty. They're young, they're scrappy, and they already have played 1 game into overtime. Why not play 2 games into overtime? I think there's a shot this game winds up being super close. I could see Chicago winning this game. I really could. But let's just say they lose it. They may lose it in overtime. On the puck line, Chicago's been pretty good so far this year. Now, they haven't played a ton of games, but on the road, they're 2-0 on the puck line so far this season. Up 2 units. Actually, up more than that. They're up 2 units. I think that's a good way of approaching this game. It's not expensive. It's only minus 130 to take the Blackhawks, catching 1.5 goals tonight on the road against the Blues. Again, I think they're live to win the game, but why not go ahead and take them at plus 1.5 goals? Hopefully Spencer Knight plays well in net. Let's see if Binnington has a bit of an off night. It could be a fun hockey game. This game's on TNT. It's nationally televised. It's all about, Connor Bedard and see what he looks like with this Blackhawks offense. Let's take the Blackhawks at plus 1.5 goals. If they get killed, they get killed. It's only minus 130. Not that expensive. Blackhawks on the puck line at plus 1.5 goals for minus 130 at 1.3 units. Guys, I have told you about our friends at Omaha Steaks for a while, and right now, during their early Black Friday sale, get 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites at omahasteaks.com. Plus, Daily Juice listeners get an extra $35 off with the promo code JUICE at checkout. Terms and conditions to apply. See site for details. Guys, it's great to have these steaks in your freezer. It's great to be grilling out during football season. It's the fall. You can literally grab these burgers from Omaha Steaks and you can chuck them directly onto the grill. You don't need to defrost them. That is great when you're just trying to make something fast during the week, but it's also really fun when people pop over and you got to make some food for people. You just go out to the grill, you throw it on there. It's going to be some big, huge process. Easy to do, really, really convenient. Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917. Same big with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and extra 20% off select favorites during their early Black Friday sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code JUICE at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's 50% off omahasteaks.com. Promo code JUICE at checkout. Last bet of the day. I don't know what to do with this, okay? I'm cold in baseball. You want to fade this, go right ahead, because I'm most likely this is going to be a loser, but I just can't get over the fact that the Mariners have been killing the Blue Jay pitching. And now they're at home. And that building is going to be electric. The Mariners have never made the World Series. And if they win tonight, they'll be one win away from their first ever appearance in the World Series. They're throwing Kirby, who's been pretty good, but, Shane Bieber's looked decent, but Bieber got wrecked by the Yankees. So what happens if this Mariners team, which scored double digits in Game 2, is still red hot, and now they're at home, and they score a bunch of runs? I'm not going to get beat by betting an under here with the electricity in this building and the fact that the Blue Jay pitching has been bad in this series so far. The bats have been on fire for the Mariners. I mean, this could be a 5-3 win. It could be a 6-4 loss. I mean, it could be 4-3. I mean, it could be right on the number here. I think it's a decent flyer bet to take the over 7 to see if we can get some offense here and see if it turns out to be a decent. I mean, T-Mobile Park is a hard park to hit home runs in, but we're dealing with some pretty unseasonable weather. It shouldn't be that bad in Seattle coming up here for tonight, and the wind shouldn't be blowing all that much. So if that changes, maybe you flip this and bet the under. But right now, by the weather I looked at, it looks like it's going to be fine. I'm going to bet the over. Give me the over. Over 7, minus 104. Game 3, good push potential here, but I'm taking the over. I just think this Blue Jay pitching staff has been getting hit so hard. The Mariners are so hot. And if the Blue Jays win, it's a high-scoring game. So if Toronto wins, I think the game goes over. So I think that's a decent play. Maybe the Blue Jays keep their season alive and cut it in half to a 2-1 deficit. If that happens, most likely the over is going to hit. So we're going to take over 7. Plays for today. Panthers in regulation at plus 110 for 1 unit. The Blackhawks on the puck line at plus 1.5 against St. Louis at minus 130, and over 7 in Game 3 between the Mariners and the Blue Jays at minus 104. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all my socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning wherever you guys get your podcasts. It is the Daily Juice.